Welcome to EPATT's Elementary School Group Reading Training. Please set aside about 45 minutes to complete the training. During the training, there will be points where you'll have to pause to complete the Google form. Yo, 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 yo! This is the elementary school group staff. Christina is the tier coordinator and is assisted by Fale and Alyssa. If you have any questions or concerns about reading tutoring, don't hesitate to ask. We want you to ask. We need you to ask. Just remember, we're here for you. Have you ever thought about when you learned how to read or how you learned how to read? Well, I want you to take some time to consider your own reading journey. Do you enjoy reading? And what types of reading do you enjoy or not enjoy? Another question I want you to consider is, what are the key skills that lead to being a good reader? Take some time and list all of the components that lead to high achievement in literacy. It's story time! The journey toward literacy begins with oral language skills. Eventually, an understanding of the symbols and sounds connected to oral language develops. As an understanding of phonetic and phonemic rules of the language increase, the speed of reading increases. A reader picks up on more words and develops a more extensive vocabulary. A developed vocabulary helps a reader to read for meaning and to learn from their reading. Learning from their reading leads to the development of unique thoughts, critiques, and ideas. EPATT's elementary students' literacy skills span the entire range, even across grade levels. That is why we have developed a specific approach to tutoring our students. EPATT's approach to reading tutoring begins with finding out each student's college and career readiness reading level. Follow the link to watch a video about Lexile measures. These are the Common Core State Standard categories for elementary school reading. At EPATT, the Reading Day activities address the Common Core skills for reading mastery. The monthly reading focus corresponds to the key ideas and details, craft and structure, and integration of knowledge and ideas content areas. Focusing on vocabulary and spelling and reading aloud helps students to develop and strengthen in the foundational skills content area. There is a designated reading focus for every month. From October through December, you will help your tutee to research and learn about author and point of view, genre, tone, setting, and characters and characterizations. The reading lesson plan includes the reading focus and a reading focus question for the week. This is the question that your tutee has to be able to articulate during presentation time or has to write about after your reading time. Your curriculum assistant has already set the pages you should cover and the vocabulary and spelling words that you should look up and review. Now that we've touched on logistics, let's go over tutoring strategies, resources, and tools. The most important step toward a child's mastery in reading is having someone read aloud to them. Here is a quote from Reading is Fundamental. Reading books aloud to children stimulates their imagination and expands their understanding of the world. It helps them develop language and listening skills and prepares them to understand the written word. Even after children learn to read by themselves, it's still important for you to read aloud together. Why is it important to read aloud to children? Select one of the 4 ways reading aloud helps students and explain why you agree. Remember when I spoke about these skills? The first 4 skills are the foundational skills that have the biggest impact on literacy success or lack of success. EPATT wants all of our students to experience reading success. That's why we use a wonderful teacher-developed resource called JUSTREAD with our early readers and our struggling readers. JUSTREAD has a set of sound packs that help students to develop or strengthen their foundational basics. If you have a tutee that needs JUSTREAD, your curriculum assistant will tell you how to guide your tutee through the JUSTREAD curriculum. EPATT's Pinterest board is packed with resources and tools used by educators to support literacy development. Take some time to look over the EPATT Pinterest page. Now that we've talked about tools and resources, let's talk strategies. Taking notes is helpful for remembering key points from reading and lectures. That's why we want you to help our students to develop and hone their note-taking skills. As you're reading with your tutee, you can model note-taking and/or have your tutee take notes. Make sure you use sticky notes. Let's talk about taking notes on vocabulary as you're reading with your tutee. One question that tutors often ask is, how do I know which words my tutee doesn't know? Well, simply stated, if your tutee has trouble pronouncing a word, they don't know the word's meaning. If your tutee is a fluent reader, check for comprehension for words that are not sight words or high-frequency words. If you're not familiar with sight words, you will find a list of them in your tutee's binder. Please note that even fluent readers struggle with meanings of words that for them are pronounceable. Subway, compost, and valleys are words that our quote-unquote advanced readers have pronounced but did not comprehend. Another question that tutors ask is, do I wait until my tutee completes an entire page before asking them the meaning of the word? In general, for vocabulary, check comprehension before moving to the next sentence. Tutors want to encourage the tutees to find out word meanings as they read. EPATT does not expect students to understand a word by looking at its context. We strongly recommend and prefer that you show your tutee how to look up words that they do not know. Sometimes dictionary entries are lengthy, and students are not strong with their alphabetical order. So, we suggest you use a computer to look up words and that you point students towards synonyms that make sense in context. Then, take notes. You may also have your tutee practice spelling words aloud or intermittently quiz your tutee on the word meanings. Alright, let's talk about how you read with your tutee so that they can read for meaning and formulate insightful opinions about the reading on their own. A great strategy for checking for comprehension is to ask questions, specifically the 5W and H. Who is involved in the story or the text? What's happening? When did the events take place? Where did events take place? Why did the events take place? And how did the people respond? Help your tutee to develop insight beyond the storyline by finding out their opinions and thoughts on what you've read. Use recall questions like, well, what do we know so far? And ask why questions. Again, a list of prompts is located in the student binder. By the time you finish your reading session, your tutee should have quite a few notes, a list of spelling and vocabulary words, and an answer for the reading focus question. Be sure the title of the text and the start and end page are written on the notes. The goal of reading time is for your tutee to have the ability to talk about what they have read, why it matters, and to support what they are sharing by citing directly from the text. Your tutee should have a more developed vocabulary, and your tutee's spelling or understanding of spelling conventions should improve. Now that you've learned about how to do reading at EPATT, let's take a look at what works and what leads to disaster.
The floor of the sitting room was carpeted. Alyssa, was carpeted?
Where do you see that?
Right there.
Carpeted.
Oh. What is carpeted?
Like when something is carpet.
Like this is carpet?
Yep.
Oh. With deep red bloating paper, which was warm and cozy, and soaked up the spills. Homley would renew it at intervals when it became available upstairs. But since Aunt Sophie had taken to her bed, Mr. Driver seldom? Okay. Thought of blotting paper unless sudden there was guests.
Cool. All right, we're done.
Okay.
See you next week. All right, Folly, today we're going to read The Borrowers. Have you ever read this book before?
No, but I think I heard of the movie.
Oh, you've heard of the movie? Okay.
Mhm.
What do you think the word borrower means?
It's like when you take something from someone.
Kind of. When do you take it, though? Do you just grab it from them?
No, it's like my friend always asks, can I borrow a pencil?
Okay, and then what happens after they borrow it?
They never give it back.
Oh, I'm not sure that's borrowing then. I think borrowing, you're supposed to give it back.
Yeah, they always say borrow though.
Oh, you can tell your friends they're wrong.
They're
All
thieves.
right, so let's go ahead and read the book.
Okay.
Will's little girl, who stared with angry eyes, then was said to crunch her teeth.
Bedroom was on the first floor, and her stirring room was a room which has
What kind of room was it?
Oh, sitting room was a room which has part of the house. Is a sitting room like a classroom? Oh,
You know, we should probably take some notes about some of the things we've learned.
oh
So,
okay.
What's one of the words you learned?
Sitting room.
Mm-hmm.
Like a living room.
Mm-hmm. And why don't we also write the page number on there so we remember where we learned this?
What page? Oh, page 3.
Mm-hmm. All right, where on our note sheet would that word go?
I guess vocabulary is a new word.
Mm-hmm.
Or does it go in setting because it's a spot?
Ooh, that is a good question. What do you think? Do you think it's a more important word that you learned or more important that it goes as a setting? All right, Folly. So before we end things, let's see if we can answer those questions that we have from this week.
Okay.
So can you read me what the first one says on the board?
All right, here are some best practices. First, know your lesson plan. During tutoring, stay focused on your tutee. Make sure you listen to how your tutee is reading and what they are reading so that you can ask questions that require insight. At times, let them know you want them to ask you questions. Model good reading by adding expression and style to your reading voice, and model good note-taking. In ESG, we want to encourage a positive and dynamic learning environment. So, if you want to compliment your tutee, be sure to give them specific positive feedback about the effort they've put forth. Then, reward your tutee immediately with EPATT dollars. Remember, the EPATT dollars are given when and if your tutee demonstrates positive learning behaviors. Giving them for other reasons will lead to confusion with your tutee and may make behavior management very difficult for you. Well, that concludes the ESG reading training. Please download the EPATT Tutor App to access your lesson plan for the week. If you have any questions, please let us know. And hey, if you'd like to know more about some of the ideas and information we covered in this training, we highly recommend these reading teaching resources. Thank you for tutoring with the East Palo Alto Tennis and Tutoring Program.